Hello. Task scheduling is something that we deal with on a regular basis. As professionals out in the field, we use task scheduling to ensure that we're completing our tasks in a timely manner and as efficiently as possible. Now, being a project manager, we too have to ensure that our tasks are being scheduled correctly. Project scheduling is one of the many tools used to ensure that a project will reach a successful outcome. As stated by Tara Dugan, in order to keep a project on track, realistic times have to be set, resources must be assigned appropriately, and quality must be maintained to decrease product errors. Now, it's come to the forefront that we currently have an issue with the way our project schedules are being handled, and it's allowing a lot of our schedules to go over their agreed base timeline. Today, I'd like to address some of those issues and possibly propose a process to improve our current state and hopefully help to decrease the amount of projects that are currently going over their time, their baseline time. Problems with project scheduling. Project scheduling is said to be the roadmap to completing a project from beginning to end while keeping in mind the timeline and the budget. There seems to be a problem with understanding how important it is to ensure that you're meeting your deadlines and your requirements of your tasks to be completed. Because of this lack of understanding, critical tasks are being delayed, causing the project baseline to extend past the agreed upon contract completion dates. This in turn is causing discouragement from our stakeholders, lack of overall respect, and is also causing some financial implications as far as our budget is concerned. Now, I did some research just recently and some of the projects that we've completed in the past couple of years. I created a table to show the history of our project completion. Now, our project completion from 2015 to 2017 shows a progression of projects not being completed on time. Now, for example, 2015, there was 10 projects completed with there was only 10 projects assigned where only 2 of those were completed. And due to the delays on those projects, it ended up pushing our budget over $10,500. Now you can see from 2016, 2017, the progression of projects that are not being completed on time. Now, the factors that contribute to project delays include the following: people spending less time on activities than agreed upon, people with less experience than required, people being less productive than expected, activities requiring more steps than originally identified, and activities requiring more time than planned. Now, there's some benefits to making a change. One of the benefits from making a change will help achieve set goals. By ensuring that the project is completed on time within budget, it will set the best practices. It also helps to build confidence in future projects. Being able to make a change and make it effective will to ensure that you're building the confidence and getting the support you need for future projects. And then understanding the importance of understanding how important it is to make sure that you're completing those tasks on time and staying within your base timeline. Now, there's some pitfalls of making the change versus not making the change. Now, there's some negative impacts to making a change. Depending on which route you decide to go on, you may end up having to implement more resources in your project. And adding more resources adds to your budget. So doing that may show some negative impacts to the change. One of the other pitfalls to making the change is the subject of change itself. A lot of people have a hard time adjusting to change. Individuals that have been with an organization for so many years like to stay with the status quo, and they don't want to change anything that they're doing. They don't understand that making a change in the process not only meets the objectives of the organization, it also helps to improve the overall status of the process that you're making the change for. Now, there's some pitfalls of not making the change. One of the pitfalls, of course, is the obvious. You will continue to have the delays. And then having the delays also affects the support and the confidence that you get from your stakeholders and your customers. If you can't complete those projects on time, you will have a hard time negotiating any projects in the future. And you will lose confidence from your stakeholders knowing that you can't complete a project on time and it adds to the cost of the overall project. Now, what I'd like to propose to you today is what's called critical change project management. What critical change project management is a scheduling network analysis technique that takes into account task dependencies, limited resources, availability of people, equipment, physical spaces, and buffers necessary to successfully complete a project. Now, there's components that are centered around a critical change project management process. That includes resource dependencies, resource leveling, resource flexibility, and multitasking capabilities. Now, all of these components are centered around what is called the critical chain. Now, what the critical chain is a path of tasks that are done in succession. And if one of these tasks are not completed on time, it ends up throwing your whole schedule off, which ends up causing you a delay in the end. And buffers help to ensure that you stay within your task of your critical chain. Now, figure 1 shows the actual flow of a CCPM. And as you can see from the flow, these different buffers are inserted just before the very last tasks of a schedule. So these buffers help to ensure that you're going to get tasks done in a timely manner. Now, the types of buffers that are included in a CCPM include feeding buffers, which add to the non-critical chain. And if you look at the flow, you can see that the buffers are outside of the actual critical chain tasks. Your resource buffers, which are used within the critical chain, and you can see that there's resource buffer between the next to the last and the very last task. And then project buffers are used at the end of the project. Now, the project buffers helps to ensure that a project does not miss the schedule end date. Now, the benefits of CCPM include allowing people to become more focused on their tasks. It helps the team to start early, avoids mismanagement of floats, considers minimal time, accelerates project completion, and it makes significant reduction in capital requirements. All of this in a lump sum helps to make sure that you're allocating your tasks in a efficient manner. You're not having to add tasks to your project schedule, and it helps your resources to be focused and complete the tasks in the most efficient way. Now, in conclusion, the process of critical change management, I feel, is the best and most efficient way to solve the current problems that we're facing right now with our projects being delayed. Of course, the added costs and the dissatisfaction by our stakeholders and customers. With the use of reducing multitasking and effective use of buffers, projects will be completed on time, within budget, and without the use of additional resources. Thank you.